My beloved child, pause for a moment. Slow your breath. What you are about to hear is not random, and it is not for everyone. January 8th has been marked in the heavens, and Archangel Michael has stepped forward in urgency because something has already been set in motion concerning your name. Yes, your name. This message found you because heaven aligned it. If this video appeared quietly on your screen, understand this clearly. It is because a miracle was quietly written for you as well. Listen carefully. God says $1 million miracle check was already authorized, not announced, not displayed, not explained to others. It was written in silence, and that silence is what confused even the angels. Archangel Michael stood in awe, not because of the amount alone, but because of the timing and the identity attached to it. He is shocked because you were not supposed to see this yet, and still here you are. This is why he ordered you to stop everything and watch. Not later, not after, not when it feels convenient. Right now. Beloved, this blessing is not coming the way you imagined. God says, if I revealed the full method, you would doubt it. So he hid the process but revealed the promise. A miracle check does not look like a check at first. It looks like a sudden shift, a message, a name being mentioned in a room you are not in, a decision being made while you are asleep. This is why it feels quiet. This is why nothing around you looks different yet. But heaven is not silent right now. Archangel Michael is standing guard over this release because there was resistance. There were delays that tried to form, not because you were unworthy, but because the impact of this blessing is larger than you realize. This provision is not just about money. God says, I am funding your escape. An escape from pressure, from limitation, from cycles that drain you emotionally and spiritually. You have been faithful in places no one saw. You kept believing when evidence was missing. You kept showing up when your strength was gone. And heaven recorded every moment you chose faith over fear. January 8th is the response to that record. Hear this clearly. This is not a lottery-style miracle. This is not luck. This is a reimbursement. God says, I am paying you back for the years you survived without support. $1 million measure is symbolic of overflow, not a ceiling. It represents restoration multiplied, not just provision supplied. Archangel Michael is shocked because the order came suddenly. There was no gradual buildup, no warning. God simply spoke, and it was written. That is why things may feel strangely calm around you. The calm is not absence, it is authorization. Do not dismiss what you are feeling right now. That stirring in your chest, that emotional tightness, that sense of this is for me, that is confirmation. God says, I am awakening your expectancy because the door will open quickly, and you must recognize it. Beloved child, there is a reason distractions have been trying to pull you away lately. There is a reason fatigue has been louder than usual. The enemy sensed movement but could not locate the source. Archangel Michael stepped in and said, enough. That is why this message reached you before the manifestation did. You are being prepared, not tested. This miracle check carries instructions with it. God says, when it arrives, do not rush to explain it to everyone. Protection comes through privacy. There are people who will not understand the favor on your life, and they do not need to. This blessing is covered, sealed, and timed. January 8th is not just a date. It is a trigger. Something you hear, see, or receive around this time will activate the next step. It may feel small at first. It may feel unrelated. But do not underestimate divine sequencing. One step unlocks the next. Archangel Michael wants you to know this. You did not miss your moment. You were being positioned for it. The delay was not denial. It was alignment. So stay attentive. Stay grounded. And most importantly, stay receptive. God says, what I am sending will require courage to receive. You have prayed for change, but now heaven asks, are you ready for expansion? Because once this begins, there is no going back to the old version of you. My precious one, listen with your spirit open, because what unfolds now explains why your life has felt like it was on pause while everyone else seemed to move ahead. God says the pause was not punishment. It was protection. While others rushed into doors that later collapsed, you were held back because the door prepared for you required weight, spiritual weight, emotional maturity, and divine timing. Archangel Michael is still present, watching closely, because the next phase does not tolerate confusion. It responds only to clarity. You have wondered why plans kept stalling at the last moment, why approvals almost came but then disappeared, why people promised help and then suddenly went silent. God says, I allowed the almost to fail so the suddenly could succeed. A miracle written to your name could not arrive in a fractured season. It needed a clean landing. That is why January feels different. Not louder, not dramatic, just different. There is a shift in how heaven is communicating with you now. Before, God whispered to comfort you. Now he speaks to commission you. The $1 million miracle check represents trust. Heaven is saying, we can place this in your hands without it breaking you. Archangel Michael knows the weight of what is coming, and that is why he was shocked, not at God's ability, but at God's confidence in you. This blessing is connected to a decision you made when no one was clapping. A moment when you chose integrity over ease. When you walked away from something that looked good but felt wrong. God says that moment was written down. Angels marked it. And now the return is being released in a way that bypasses struggle. Understand this clearly. The miracle may arrive through systems, people, or opportunities that already exist, but the favor on it will be unmistakable. Others will try the same route and fail. You will step in and doors will open effortlessly. That is not coincidence. That is covering. Archangel Michael is instructing you right now to guard your focus. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not every conversation deserves your energy. You are stepping into a season where discernment protects acceleration. God says, what I am giving you grows fast, and anything fast-growing must be guarded. Some of you have felt a sudden urge to clean, organize, or simplify your environment. That is not random. You are making room. Heaven often prepares the vessel before pouring the oil. Do not ignore these gentle nudges. They are signs that alignment is already happening. Beloved, this is also a moment to acknowledge how far you have come. You survived emotional exhaustion. You carried responsibilities you never asked for. You smiled while breaking inside. And still, you did not quit on God. That faith, tested and refined, is now being rewarded openly. Now hear this instruction clearly, because it matters. As this message resonates with you, do not keep it locked inside. When you like this video, when you share it, when you leave a comment declaring that you receive this word, you are not just supporting a channel, you are making a public agreement with heaven. Faith moves when it is expressed. Your action becomes a signal. Subscribe to this space and stay connected, because these messages are not random uploads, they are timed releases for those walking in obedience. If this word stirred something deep in you, let that stirring move your hand. your voice, your support. There is also a collective element to this blessing. God says, as you agree, others will awaken. When you hype this message, when you send it to someone who have been silently struggling, you become part of the distribution system of hope. Heaven uses willing vessels, not perfect ones. Do not underestimate how powerful simple obedience is right now. Small actions are unlocking large outcomes. Archangel Michael is ensuring that interference does not interrupt what is unfolding, but your cooperation still matters. You may notice your intuition sharpening. You may sense when to speak and when to remain silent. Trust that. The miracle coming to you requires wisdom to manage it, and God is already increasing your capacity. And hear this promise before we move forward: nothing meant for you will miss you. Even if it takes an unexpected route, it will arrive on time. God says, I am not late, and I do not forget. Hold on, because what comes next connects the spiritual authorization to real-world manifestation. And once you see it, everything you have endured will finally make sense. Beloved one, there is a reason your spirit feels alert right now, as if something unseen just leaned closer. This is the moment where heaven moves from promise into proof. God says the miracle was not only written, it was sealed, and seals are only broken when the recipient is ready to carry what is inside. You are no longer being prepared. You are being trusted. Archangel Michael has shifted position. He is no longer standing in defense alone. He is standing in announcement. What shocked him was not only that a $1 million level miracle carried your name, but that it was released without noise. Low thunder. No warning. Just a divine signature placed quietly, while the world around you remained unaware. God says, I hid it so fear could not interrupt it. This blessing is connected to your obedience in hidden seasons. Seasons where you prayed without answers. Where you kept your heart clean while others became bitter. Where you chose patience when frustration would have been easier. Heaven calls this mature faith, and mature faith attracts uncommon reward. You must understand this now. The miracle is not coming to oppress others. It is coming to reposition you. God says, I am changing your level of access. Access to rooms you were never allowed in before. Access to conversations that shape outcomes. Access to solutions people have been waiting for. The money is only the vehicle. The real miracle is influence wrapped in provision. There will be a moment soon when something clicks internally. A sudden calm. A knowing. When that happens, do not second-guess it. That is your spirit recognizing alignment. Archangel Michael says this is where many people hesitate, because blessings at this scale require you to let go of old survival thinking. You are not losing humility by receiving more. You are honoring God by stewarding what He releases. Some of you will notice people re-entering your life unexpectedly. Old contacts. Old conversations. Do not rush. Discernment is your shield now. Not everyone who recognizes your rise is meant to benefit from it. God says, I will show you who is assigned and who is curious. Pay attention to peace, not pressure. This is also a season of restitution. What was delayed is being restored with increase. What was taken is being returned with interest. What drained you is being replaced with strength. And this will happen in layers, not all at once, so your capacity grows with the blessing. Archangel Michael wants you to hear this clearly. Do not shrink when the door opens. Do not apologize for being chosen. Heaven did not make a mistake with you. This miracle check carries heaven's confidence, not heaven's doubt. Now, as this word lands in your spirit, it requires agreement. Not passive listening, but active reception. Type "I receive the release" in the comments if this message is speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 913 has just been released, and it activates clarity, protection, and acceleration over what is already written in your name. As this word reaches you, understand that God is also reaching others through this channel. I feel led to say this directly to you. When you give, you are not supporting a video. You are planting a seed that turns confusion into clarity for someone else. The Lord is saying, as you sow into this stream, I will cause rivers to rise in your own life. This message continues because faithful hearts respond when heaven speaks. If your spirit is stirred, release your support now through Super Thanks or by joining the membership. And if you are led further, the PayPal donation link is waiting in the description. I declare that every seed sown today comes back pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. Do not delay obedience. Move as the Spirit leads and watch what opens. Chosen one, what you are sensing now is not imagination. It is transition. There is a subtle but undeniable movement happening beneath the surface of your life, and heaven wants you aware without becoming anxious. God says, I am rearranging things you cannot see yet, but you will feel the effect before you see the evidence. This is why your emotions have been fluctuating without a clear reason. It is not instability. It is adjustment. Archangel Michael is still watching over this process, because when a blessing carries this much weight, timing becomes sacred. Too early and it overwhelms. Too late and it frustrates. Heaven never misses the moment. The silence you experienced recently was not absence. It was concentration. God was focusing systems, people, and outcomes into alignment so nothing would leak, scatter, or break upon arrival. You may notice that your tolerance for certain environments has changed. Places that once felt normal now feel heavy. Conversations that once entertained you now feel draining. This is not judgment, it is elevation. God says, I am changing your atmosphere because what is coming cannot thrive in the old one. Your spirit is learning a new frequency. There is also an internal recalibration taking place. Old fears are surfacing, not to control you, but to be released. Doubts you thought were gone may whisper again, questioning whether this level of favor is really meant for you. This is the last echo of a season that no longer has authority. Archangel Michael says, do not wrestle these thoughts. Let them pass. Resistance gives them power. Recognition removes it. Understand this truth deeply. The miracle coming to you does not require perfection. It requires readiness. And readiness is not about having everything figured out. It is about trusting God when things unfold faster than your comfort zone. Some doors will open with little explanation. Some opportunities will appear without a clear roadmap. God says, walk anyway. I will give instructions as you move. There will be a defining moment where you are asked to choose between familiar struggle and unfamiliar ease. This choice may not be obvious. It may look like a small decision, a conversation, a yes you were afraid to give. But heaven will be watching how you respond. Not to test you, but to transition you. Archangel Michael wants you to know that protection is active around your name. Things that could have gone wrong will quietly resolve. Situations that should have escalated will dissolve. You will not even know what you were spared from until later. God says, I am clearing the path ahead so you do not arrive wounded. This season also carried responsibility. The blessing you receive will be noticed, even if you try to keep it quiet. People will ask how things shifted so quickly. You do not owe everyone an explanation. Let your peace speak for you. Let your consistency speak for you. The fruit will defend the root. Be mindful of how you speak about yourself now. Words carry creative authority in this phase. Do not label yourself by past limitations. Do not joke about lack. Do not minimize what God is doing. Speak with gratitude, even before you see the full picture. Gratitude keeps the channel open. You may feel an urge to revisit an old idea, a skill, or a calling you once set aside. That is not nostalgia. It is activation. God often hides provision inside forgotten assignments. What you thought was over may simply have been waiting for this moment to mature. Archangel Michael emphasizes rest during this time. Not withdrawal, but intentional restoration. Fatigue dulls discernment, and you need clarity now more than hustle. Trust that you do not have to chase what is meant for you. It will meet you. There is also healing happening in layers. Emotional wounds you learn to live with are being touched gently by God's presence. You may find yourself less reactive, less defensive, more grounded. This inner healing is part of the miracle. God says, I am not just changing your bank account, I am changing your nervous system. As this unfolds, resist the urge to rush ahead mentally. Stay present. Pay attention to small confirmations. Repeated words, unusual peace, timely encounters. Heaven speaks in patterns, and you are being trained to recognize them. What is coming will not look like chaos. It will look like order. Not frantic speed, but steady acceleration. When it begins, you will know. There will be no confusion in your spirit, only awe. Remain open. Remain humble. Remain expectant. The next shift will feel tangible, and when it happens, you will understand why every delay, every closed door, and every quiet season was necessary. What unfolds next will show you how heaven turns preparation into possession, and why this moment required patience before power could be released. Beloved child, now you are stepping into the phase where what was invisible begins to cast a shadow in the natural. Before manifestation becomes obvious, it always announces itself through pressure changes in the spirit. That is why your sleep patterns may have shifted, why your dreams feel more vivid, or why you wake up with a sense that something is approaching but not fully formed yet. God says, you are sensing movement because movement has already begun. Archangel Michael is no longer standing only in watchfulness. He is now coordinating. There are pieces being moved across distances you cannot measure, decisions forming in other people's minds, resources being redirected, conversations being scheduled without your name mentioned yet. This is how heaven works when it wants to predict the outcome. The less attention the process gets, the safer the result becomes. You may feel moments of impatience rising, even after receiving confirmation. This does not mean you lack faith. It means you are standing at the edge of fulfillment. Faith stretches most right before arrival. God says, do not rush the final steps. The last adjustments are what determine the quality of what you receive. What is coming is not fragile, but it is precise. There is something important you must understand now. The miracle check, whether literal or symbolic, is not arriving to rescue you from chaos. It is arriving to partner with stability. That is why God has been teaching you emotional regulation, discernment, and restraint. The blessing will amplify who you already are. Heaven made sure to refine you before release. Some of you have felt a sudden loss of interest in proving yourselves. You no longer feel the need to explain your pain, defend your choices, or convince others of your worth. This is a sign of internal authority forming. God says, when you stop explaining, you start commanding. This authority will matter in the days ahead. Archangel Michael warns gently against nostalgia. There may be a temptation to revisit old versions of yourself, old habits, or old connections simply because they are familiar. Familiarity is not safety. Growth often feels lonely right before alignment brings the right people. Trust the pruning. What falls away now would have struggled to survive where you are going. There will be a moment soon when an opportunity feels almost too simple, too clean, too easy. Your instinct may question it because struggle has been your normal teacher. But God says, do not reject ease when it comes from me. Not every blessing requires pain. Some arrive as confirmation that you have learned enough. Pay attention to timing. Doors will open in sequences, not all at once. One yes will unlock another invitation. One conversation will lead to a connection. One decision will clarify the next step. You are not meant to see 10 steps ahead. You are meant to walk faithfully into the one in front of you. This is also a season where your words carry unusual weight. What you declare in private will echo in public outcomes. Speak life over your finances. Speak order over your plans. Speak peace over your body. Do not rehearse fear aloud. Heaven responds to alignment, not anxiety. Archangel Michael emphasizes that protection remains active, but discernment must remain sharp. Not every good-looking opportunity is God-sent. Some will test whether you can wait for the right thing instead of grabbing the first thing. God says, I am not just blessing you. I am teaching you how to choose. You may receive confirmation through repetition. The same phrase appearing in different places. The same theme surfacing in unexpected conversations. This is heaven underlining its message. When this happens, pause and acknowledge it. Gratitude accelerates clarity. There is also a quiet healing happening around your identity. You are no longer defining yourself by what went wrong, to left, or what failed. You are beginning to see yourself as someone trusted by God. This shift will change how others treat you, even if they cannot explain why. Do not be surprised if people begin to seek your advice, your presence, or your perspective more often. Avoid attracts attention. Remain grounded. Influence grows best when humility stays intact. As the manifestation draws closer, resist the urge to control outcomes. Control creates tension. Trust creates flow. God says, let me surprise you. The form may differ from your expectation, but the impact will exceed it. Remember this, arrival does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives as relief, sometimes as peace, sometimes as clarity where confusion once lived. When you feel that internal settling, recognize it. That is your spirit saying, this is it. What comes next will reveal how heaven turns coordination into collision, where preparation meets opportunity, and faith meets fulfillment in real time. Stay attentive. Stay surrendered. The unfolding is nearer than you think. Beloved one, there is a holy tension in the air right now, and it exists for a reason. You are standing between what was promised and what is about to materialize, and heaven is teaching you how to remain steady in the in-between. God says, "Do not mistake waiting for stagnation. Movement does not always look like motion. Sometimes it looks like restraint." Archangel Michael is paying close attention to how you handle this stretch. Not because the blessing is uncertain, but because this phase trains you for what comes after. The weight of increase requires a new internal posture. That is why you are being asked to slow your reactions, refine your focus, and choose peace even when anticipation tries to rush you. You may notice that old triggers do not affect you the same way anymore. Situations that once pulled you into anxiety now feel distant. This is not emotional numbness. It is authority forming. God says, "I am teaching you how to respond from rest, not from fear." This ability will protect you when decisions start arriving quickly. There is also a divine separation happening. Not dramatic, not loud, just natural distance. Some relationships are fading without conflict. Some conversations feel complete without closure. This is grace at work. Heaven removes what cannot go forward without creating chaos. Trust this process. What leaves now would have demanded too much later. Archangel Michael emphasizes that clarity will come in layers. You are not meant to understand everything at once. Too much information too soon creates pressure. God releases understanding at the same pace He releases responsibility. When something becomes clear, it is because you are ready to steward it. You may feel moments of excitement followed by sudden calm. This rhythm is intentional. Excitement awakens expectancy. Calm anchors discernment. Together, they prepare you to receive without losing balance. God says, I am not overwhelming you. I am strengthening you. This is also a season to stay connected. Messages like this are not just encouragement. They are alignment tools. When you like this video, when you share it with someone who needs hope, when you leave a comment declaring that you are still standing in faith, you are reinforcing that alignment. Subscribe and stay connected to this space, because what is being released here is time. Your engagement is not random. It is part of how heaven keeps you positioned. Let your support be visible, because faith expressed creates momentum. There are people watching your life quietly, even if you do not realize it. They are learning from how you wait, how you speak, how you remain grounded. God says, your process is preaching louder than your words. This is why integrity matters now more than ever. You may be tempted to measure progress by external signs alone. Resist that urge. Some of the most important shifts are internal. Confidence without arrogance. Peace without explanation. Focus without force. These are signs that you are ready. Archangel Michael reminds you to protect your inner world. What you consume mentally matters. Choose voices that strengthen faith, not fuel fear. Choose environments that calm your spirit, not overstimulate it. You are not isolating, you are preserving. There will be an invitation soon that requires a clear yes or no. It may not look monumental, but it will be directional. When it comes, you will feel a quiet certainty rather than loud excitement. That is how you will know it is aligned. God says, follow the peace, not the pressure. Do not rush to announce what God has not yet revealed fully. Some blessings grow best in silence. There will be a time to testify, but first there is a time to steward quietly. Archangel Michael is guarding what is forming, but your discretion matters. If at any point you feel discouraged by the pace, pause and remember how far you have come. The person you are now would have overwhelmed the person you were before. Growth has already happened. Manifestation is simply catching up. Before you scroll away or let your attention drift, hold on to this truth. The next phase will connect everything you have heard so far. What felt abstract will become practical. What felt spiritual will become tangible. This is where anticipation turns into recognition. Stay attentive. Stay grounded. What unfolds next will show you how heaven confirms its word in ways you cannot deny, and why this waiting season was not wasted. It was essential. Beloved child, now you are entering the stage where recognition begins to rise quietly around you. Not recognition from crowds, but recognition from alignment. God says, I am causing the right eyes to notice you at the right moment. This is not about fame or applause. It is about placement. Placement is when heaven positions you exactly where your gift, your obedience, and your timing intersect. Archangel Michael is attentive here because this phase often feels subtle, and subtle seasons are easy to misinterpret. You may feel like nothing dramatic is happening, yet at the same time, everything feels strangely intentional. Conversations feel purposeful. Encounters feel timed. Even interruptions feel meaningful. This is because the randomness has ended. You are now moving through curated moments. You might notice that people respond to you differently. There is more respect in their tone, more openness in their posture, less resistance when you speak. This is not because you changed your personality. It is because authority has settled on you. Authority does not shout. It rests. And when it rests, others feel it even if they cannot name it. God says this is a season of validation without explanation. You will be trusted without having to overprove yourself. Opportunities will come without you having to chase them. This is unfamiliar territory if you are used to striving, so your mind may try to question it. Do not sabotage what God is stabilizing. Ease does not mean fake. Sometimes it means earned. Archangel Michael wants you to be especially mindful of humility here. Not false humility that shrinks, but grounded humility that listens. You are allowed to take up space without becoming rigid. You are allowed to lead without becoming distant. Heaven is teaching you balance, because what is ahead requires both confidence and compassion. There may be moments where you feel exposed, as if more people can see you than before. This is not vulnerability, it is visibility. Visibility can feel uncomfortable when you are not used to it. But God says, I will not expose you without covering you. Anything that becomes visible now is meant to be strengthened, not shamed. You are also learning how to say no without guilt. This is new for some of you. You are realizing that access to you is a responsibility, not a right. Not everyone gets to walk closely in every season. Boundaries are not rejection, they are stewardship. Archangel Michael affirms that every boundary you set now protects something sacred later. Pay attention to your instincts in this phase. You will know when to speak and when to remain silent, when to move and when to pause. This is discernment sharpening through use. God says, I am trusting you with timing. That trust is a sign of maturity. There will be an increase in clarity around your role. What once felt scattered is beginning to organize itself. Your strengths are aligning. Your interests are converging. You are starting to see how different parts of your journey connect. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Even detours taught you something you will now use. Archangel Michael reminds you that comparison is no longer useful. Looking sideways will only distract you from the precision of your path. Others may be moving faster or slower, but speed is not the goal. Alignment is. When you are aligned, arrival happens naturally. You may feel a growing sense of responsibility, not pressure, but awareness. Awareness that what you carry matters, that your choices affect more than just you. This is not meant to burden you. It is meant to anchor you. God says, I am expanding your impact, not your stress. Be careful with self-talk during this time. You are stepping into rooms where your words will shape outcomes. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you are mentoring. With truth, with encouragement, with clarity. The voice you trust most right now should not be one of doubt. There is also a refining of motives happening. You are being invited to do the right thing for the right reason, even when no one is watching. Integrity in hidden moments protects favor in public ones. Archangel Michael watches these moments closely, not to judge, but to guard what is being built. You may feel moments of quiet joy without a clear cause. That is peace settling in. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of alignment. When peace shows up, it means something inside you has clicked into place. As this phase continues, remain teachable. Success does not remove the need for listening. It increases it. God says, "Stay close to me, and I will keep you steady." The closer the blessing, the more important the connection. What unfolds next will bring visible confirmation, something tangible that affirms what your spirit already knows. When that happens, you will not need convincing. You will simply recognize it. Stay present. Stay receptive. The unfolding is becoming undeniable. Beloved one, you are now approaching a threshold moment, and heaven wants you fully aware of what is unfolding without becoming overwhelmed by it. God says, this is where faith turns into recognition. Recognition does not always come as shock or celebration. Sometimes it comes as a deep inner knowing that says, "This is real now." You may not shout. You may not even smile outwardly. But inside, something settles permanently. Archangel Michael is present because this phase requires steadiness more than excitement. You are no longer waiting for signs. You are learning how to respond when signs begin to repeat. Repetition is heaven's way of saying, "Pay attention." This is not coincidence anymore. Patterns are forming around you. The same themes, the same confirmations, the same doors slightly opening in different places. This is alignment accelerating. You may feel moments where gratitude rises before manifestation is fully visible. This is not premature praise. It is spiritual recognition. Your spirit knows before your senses catch up. God says, when gratitude comes early, it shortens the distance between promise and possession. Do not question that gratitude. Let it flow. There is also a subtle shift happening in how you view resources. You are beginning to understand that provision is not only money. It is access, wisdom, timing, and favor working together. A miracle written to your name carries multiple streams. Some will look financial. Others will look relational. Others will look like peace replacing pressure. All of it counts. Archangel Michael wants you to remain watchful over your expectations. Not smaller, clearer. Big expectation creates confusion. Very expectation creates recognition. When something aligns with what God has been preparing you for, you will know it fits without forcing it. There will be no inner resistance, only reverence. You may notice that certain prayers are no longer being repeated. Not because you stopped believing, but because your spirit has moved from asking into anticipating. Anticipation is faith mature. God says, you are not begging anymore. You are standing ready. This season also reveals who can celebrate you without envy. Pay attention to who claps without comparison, who supports without conditions, who listens without redirecting the focus back to themselves. These people are safe. Not many, but enough. Heaven never surrounds you with crowds when precision is required. There may be moments where old fears try to resurface, asking, what if this falls apart? Recognize that voice for what it is, a memory, not a prophecy. Fear often speaks in familiar tones, but it carries no authority here. Archangel Michael reminds you that what is guarded by heaven cannot be undone by doubt. You are also being invited to step into a new level of responsibility. Responsibility is not burden, it is trust. God does not release weight without also releasing grace. You will not be crushed by what is coming. You will be carried by it if you remain surrendered. Now hear this carefully, because this moment requires participation, not observation. Type "I am ready" for more in the comments if your spirit agrees with this word. Blessing code 4481 has just been activated, releasing stability, discernment, and increase over everything connected to your name. As this revelation settles in your spirit, understand that God is moving through willing hearts to keep this stream flowing. When you support this mission, you are sowing light into places still covered in doubt. I hear the Lord saying, "Those who release into my work will never lack release in their own lives." If this word has strengthened you, respond now through super thanks or by joining the membership. And for those led further, the PayPal donation link is waiting in the description. This is not just generosity, it is alignment. I bless every seed you release, and I declare that heaven responds with overflow, clarity, and peace. There is no rush, but there is momentum. Momentum builds when obedience meets opportunity. What you are sensing now is not hype, it is readiness. The calm before visible confirmation is not emptiness, it is focus. Remain grounded. Remain thankful. Remain open. The next unfolding will not just confirm the blessing, it will show you how to steward it without fear and without confusion. Heaven is not only giving, heaven is teaching you how to hold what you receive. What comes next will feel tangible, undeniable, and personal. When it arrives, you will recognize it not by noise but by peace. Beloved child, now you are entering the stretch where heaven tests not your faith, but your stewardship. This is subtle, and many misunderstand. God says, "I already know you believe. Now I am showing you how to carry what you believe for." The atmosphere around you is changing again, not with anticipation this time, but with responsibility settling gently on your shoulders. You may notice that your decisions feel heavier than before. Not stressful, intentional. Choices that once felt casual now require thought. Words that once passed easily now feel like they carry consequence. This is not pressure from above, it is authority awakening within. Authority makes you aware that what you do matters beyond the moment. Archangel Michael is attentive here because this is where many people self-sabotage without realizing it. Not through rebellion, but through impatience or careless alignment. Heaven is not asking you to perform perfectly. It is asking you to remain aware. God says, "Do not drift now. Stay present." Presence is protection in this phase. You may feel a strange mix of confidence and caution. Confidence because you know something has shifted. Caution because you do not want to mishandle it. This balance is healthy. It means pride has not taken root and fear has not taken control. You are standing in reverence, and reverence attracts wisdom. There will be moments where things move slower than expected again. Do not panic. This is not reversal, it is calibration. God often slows the external pace to refine the internal rhythm. What is being built now must last, not just arrive. Archangel Michael reminds you that speed without structure creates collapse later. Pay attention to how you manage small things in this season. Time, energy, conversations, commitments. Stewardship is proven in the ordinary long before it is trusted with the extraordinary. God says, "If you honor the small, I will entrust the large." Nothing is overlooked in heaven's economy. You may notice that distractions feel louder right now. Random interruptions, emotional noise, old habits trying to reappear. This is not coincidence. When something valuable is near, interference increases. Not because it can stop you, but because it hopes to delay you. Awareness disarms it. Archangel Michael is reinforcing discipline without rigidity. Discipline is not punishment, it is focus. You are being invited to choose what strengthens you over what entertains you, what feeds your spirit over what drains it. This is not withdrawal from life, it is alignment with purpose. There is also a refining of identity happening again, but this time it is gentler. You are no longer asking, who am I? You are asking, how do I move as who I am becoming? This shift marks maturity. Identity settled leads to movement directed. You may feel drawn to wisdom more than affirmation, to truth more than comfort, to depth more than surface. This is a sign that you are ready for sustainable increase. God says, I am surrounding you with insight, not noise. Do not be surprised if your circle feels smaller but stronger. Quality over quantity is heaven's pattern at this level. Fewer voices, clearer counsel, deeper trust. This protects clarity when decisions carry impact. There will be an internal check soon, something that asks you to pause before acting. Honor it. That pause is not hesitation, it is discernment. Archangel Michael often works through pauses to prevent unnecessary detours. What you delay now saves time later. You may also experience moments of gratitude mixed with sobriety, joy without frivolity, hope without fantasy. This grounded joy is a sign that expectation has matured into readiness. God says, you are no longer dreaming only. You are preparing. Be mindful of how you react when plans shift slightly. Flexibility will serve you well. Rigidity resists flow. Heaven may reroute details while preserving destination. Trust that if God redirects, it is for efficiency, not confusion. There is something important being formed in you now. Consistency. Consistency carries more weight than intensity. Join up steadily, choosing wisely repeatedly, remaining anchored even when excitement fades. This is how long-term blessing is protected. Archangel Michael wants you to know that you are not behind. Even if others seem to surge ahead, your pace is precise. Precision outlasts speed. When your moment fully arrives, you will be ready to sustain it, not scramble to keep up. As this part of the journey unfolds, remember this truth: heaven does not rush what it intends to last. You are being shaped not just to receive, but to retain. Not just to arrive, but to remain. What comes next will challenge how you view timing itself. You will begin to see that what felt delayed was actually synchronized, and when that realization settles in, peace will deepen even further. Stay steady. Stay aware. The unfolding is still very much alive. Beloved one, this is the phase where heaven invites you to participate more consciously in what is unfolding, not by striving but by agreeing. God says, I have already moved. Now move with me. There is a rhythm being established between your obedience and heaven's response, and once you learn it, things begin to flow with less resistance. Archangel Michael is attentive here because this is where clarity turns into action. You are no longer only receiving insight. You are being asked to respond to it in real ways. Not dramatic leaps, but intentional steps. Small adjustments. Clear decisions. Quiet obedience. These are the things that unlock visible momentum. You may notice that opportunities now come with a sense of timing attached to them. Not pressure, but awareness. A feeling that says, this matters if I respond rightly. That awareness is discernment maturing. God says, I am teaching you when to move and when to wait. Both are acts of faith. There is also an invitation to anchor yourself in gratitude more deeply than before. Gratitude now is not about thanking God for what might happen. It is about honoring Him for what is already in motion. This kind of gratitude stabilizes your emotions and sharpens your judgment. It keeps excitement from becoming impulsive and hope from becoming fantasy. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that the miracle attached to your name is not fragile, but your focus must be protected. Distraction is the most subtle form of delay. not sin, not fear, just divided attention. Heaven moves most clearly when your vision is undivided. This is why staying connected matters right now. When you like this video, when you share it, when you comment with agreement, you are not just interacting. You are reinforcing alignment. Subscribe to this channel and remain connected, because these messages are not random encouragements. They are timely confirmations. When you hype this message and invite others into it, you become part of how God distributes hope. Your engagement is a declaration that you are present, aware, and willing to move with what heaven is saying. You may also sense a growing boldness in your spirit. Not arrogance, but confidence without apology. You are no longer shrinking your expectations to match past disappointments. God says, lift your expectation to match my intention. This does not mean demanding outcomes. It means trusting capacity. There will be moments where you are tempted to overthink what is coming. Resist that urge. Overthinking tries to control what faith is meant to receive. You do not need to predict every detail. You only need to stay aligned with the next instruction. God rarely reveals the full picture at once, because clarity grows best through movement. Archangel Michael emphasizes consistency again. Show up in prayer even when you feel calm. Remain disciplined even when things feel secure. Do not abandon structure just because relief has arrived. Structure protects blessing. Stability sustains increase. You may also notice that people begin to mirror your energy. When you are calm, they are calm. When you are focused, they respond with respect. This is leadership emerging naturally. Leadership is not position, it is presence. And presence grows when you are aligned internally. Be mindful of comparison in this phase. Comparison now is especially deceptive because it will try to measure your unfolding against someone else's highlight. God says, I did not design your path to be measured sideways. What you are building has a different architecture. It cannot be rushed or replicated. There may be a moment soon where something confirms the word you have been holding internally. A message, a number, a conversation, a sudden opportunity. When it happens, you will feel a quiet certainty rather than shock. That certainty is your spirit recognizing fulfillment beginning. Before your attention moves elsewhere, stay with this moment. This is where many people miss nuance. The next shift is not loud. It is precise. And precision requires attention. Hold on, because what unfolds next will connect obedience with outcome in a way that feels deeply personal. God says, I am about to show you that this was never random. Every delay, every redirection, every closed door, it will start to make sense not intellectually but spiritually. When understanding settles in your spirit, peace deepens and fear loses its voice. Remain grounded. Remain available. The unfolding is no longer just forming. It is approaching visibility. And when it does, you will recognize it not by chaos or urgency, but by alignment and peace that confirms you are exactly where you are meant to be. Beloved child, you are now approaching a moment of realization that quietly changes how you see everything behind you. God says, I am giving you understanding, not just outcome. Understanding is the gift that arrives right before fulfillment because it stabilizes the heart. Without understanding, blessing can confuse. With understanding, blessing confirms. You may find yourself reflecting on past seasons with new eyes. Things that once felt unfair now feel instructional. Situations that once hurt now feel formative. This is not you minimizing pain. This is you recognizing purpose. Healing has reached a depth where memory no longer controls emotion. That is freedom, and it is part of the miracle. Archangel Michael is attentive because this is where gratitude becomes profound. Not gratitude for what is coming, but gratitude for what shaped you. When you can honor the process without longing to relive it, heaven knows you are ready for what is next. God says, you no longer romanticize survival. You are prepared for stability. You may notice a new kind of confidence settling in, quiet, steady, unforced. You are not rushing to prove anything. You are not anxious to announce anything. There is a settled sense that what is meant for you is secure. This confidence does not come from circumstances, it comes from alignment. There may be moments where you feel emotionally full, almost reflective, even without a clear external reason. This is integration happening. Your spirit, mind, and expectations are syncing. Integration is important because it prevents fragmentation when blessings arrive from multiple directions. Archangel Michael reminds you that humility remains essential here. Not humility that doubts worth, but humility that stays teachable. Growth does not eliminate the need for listening. It refines it. God says those who keep listening will keep growing. You may sense that your prayer life has changed. Less pleading, more conversation, less urgency, more trust. This shift is significant. It means your relationship with God is no longer centered on need alone, but on partnership. Partnership is the foundation of stewardship. There is also an internal permission being granted. Permission to expect good without bracing for disappointment. Permission to plan without fear of collapse. Permission to receive without guilt. God says, you do not have to apologize for answered prayers. You might notice that your body responds differently now. Less tension, easy breathing, a calmer baseline. This is not coincidence. The nervous system often holds stress long after circumstances change. Heaven is healing you deeply enough that even your body is learning safety again. Archangel Michael emphasizes discernment around celebration. Celebrate, yes, but wisely. Not everything sacred needs to be shared widely. Some joys are meant to be protected until they are fully rooted. Privacy can be a form of reverence. You are also stepping into a clearer sense of direction. Not a rigid plan, but a compass. You know what aligns and what does not. You know when something drains you versus strengthens you. This clarity will guide you more reliably than external validation. There may be an invitation soon to step into a role, responsibility, or decision that feels meaningful rather than impressive. Choose meaning. God says, impact lasts longer than attention. What aligns with your values will sustain you longer than what only elevates your image. You might feel moments of anticipation again, but this time it is calmer. Not anxious waiting, but confident expectation. Expectation that says, I am ready whenever it unfolds. That pause you attracts peace. Archangel Michael wants you to know that heaven is not rushing you across the finish line. It is walking you toward it with intention. The final moments before manifestation are often quiet because everything necessary has already been arranged. Pay attention to subtle confirmations now. Small wins. Gentle affirmations. Quiet openings. These are signals that the final alignment is locking into place. God speaks softly here because panic is no longer needed. Trust has taken its place. As you move through this phase, remain present. Do not rush ahead mentally. Do not relive past strain emotionally. Say here, this is the moment where faith becomes sight, not all at once, but enough to steady your steps. What unfolds next will not only fulfill what was promised, it will close a chapter that has been open for a long time. When the chapter closes, relief will wash over you in ways you did not expect. Stay open. Stay grounded. The final unfolding is near, and it will arrive with a sense of completion that tells your spirit, without words, that this chapter has truly turned. My beloved child, this is the moment where heaven allows you to exhale fully, not because everything has already happened, but because the hardest part is over. God says, you are no longer waiting to be chosen. You are walking as the one I chose. There is a difference, and your spirit feels it now. The striving has ended. The questioning has quieted. What remains is trust rooted in experience, not theory. Archangel Michael stands with a different posture now. No longer in urgency. No longer in shock. He stands in confirmation. What was written hath been predicted. What was protected is now ready to be revealed in the natural. And what is revealed will not confuse you, because your spirit has already seen it. You may notice that fear no longer has the same voice. It may try to speak, but it lacks authority. The tone is weaker. The rib is gone. That is because certainty has taken its place. Certainty does not shout. It settles. God says, I have anchored you so deeply that storms will pass without relocating you. There is a sacred understanding settling in now. The miracle was never just about provision. It was about transformation. You are not the same person who started this journey. Your discernment is sharper. Your reactions are calmer. Your expectations are healthier. Heaven did not rush this, because character had to expand before capacity could increase. Archangel Michael wants you to recognize how intentional this ending is. Nothing is dangling unfinished. Loose ends are being tied quietly. Conversations resolve without drama. Situations stabilize without explanation. God says, I am giving you closure without confrontation. This is mercy. You may feel an unfamiliar peace when you think about the future. Not excitement mixed with anxiety, but confidence without pressure. This peace is not passive. It is powerful. It means you trust the timing, even when you cannot see every detail. Peace like this is evidence of maturity. There is also joy returning in a new form. Not the loud joy of relief, but the steady joy of security. The joy that comes from knowing you are supported. Guided. God says, you are not walking alone anymore, even when it feels quiet. Silence is no longer abandonment, it is stability. You will soon notice tangible confirmation. Something measurable. Something undeniable. It may not look exactly like what you imagined months ago, but when it arrives, your spirit will recognize it immediately. Recognition will come before celebration. Peace before praise. Archangel Michael affirms that this blessing is protected from reversal. What is given now is meant to last. That is why it took time. Temporary blessings arrive quickly. Enduring ones are built carefully. As this chapter closes, heaven invites you to mark it intentionally. Type I receive my completion in the comments if this message has walked with you through the process. Blessing code 1209 is now released. This code seals peace, stability, and sustained overflow over your life and everything connected to your name. Beloved, as this journey reaches its completion, I speak to you not as a request, but as a divine instruction. God is using this space to carry His voice to those who are still waiting for hope, and your obedience fuels that reach. I hear the Lord saying, those who stand with my work will never stand alone. If this message has strengthened you, respond now through super thanks or by joining the membership. And for those called to go further, the PayPal donation link is placed in the description. This is not charity, this is alignment with a living stream. I bless every seed you release, and I declare that what you sow into God's work will return to you as peace, provision, and open doors. Act now, not later. Obedience multiplies when it is immediate. Beloved child, this is not the end of your story. It is the end of a season that taught you endurance. What begins next will teach you stewardship, joy, and expansion without strain. Walk forward without fear. You are covered. You are prepared. And you are exactly where heaven intended you to be. This chapter is complete. The next one opens with favor.